You ever have one of those moments where your whole world just snaps? Like 1 second, you're living your normal life, working, loving, doing your best, and the next, everything you built crumbles because of one sickening truth? That was me a few weeks ago. I'm 35. My wife, Sarah, is 33. We've been together for 8 years, married for 5. No kids yet, but we talked about it. I thought we had a solid foundation. Sure, we had our arguments. Who doesn't? But I never thought she'd be the type to pull this kind of insanity. It all started when she got back in touch with her high school boyfriend, Kevin. I didn't think much of it at first. He was a washed-up loser, still living in his hometown, hopping between dead-end jobs. Meanwhile, Sarah and I had built a stable life together. We owned a house, we traveled. We had plans for the future. But then, little things started happening. She started guarding her phone like a teenager, taking calls in the bathroom, laughing too hard at his texts. The kind of laugh that makes a man's stomach twist. Suddenly, she was spending more nights out with her friends. Then she started dressing like she was single. Tight dresses, heels she hadn't worn in years, perfume that wasn't for me. I knew. I knew before I saw it with my own eyes. But I didn't confront her like some clueless idiot begging for an explanation. I waited. I wanted proof. And I got it. The night I caught her, Sarah told me she was going out with some girlfriends. I played along, gave her a peck on the cheek, even told her to have fun. But as soon as she left, I followed. I don't know what sick part of me needed to see it. Maybe so there'd be no room for doubt. Maybe so I wouldn't let her gaslight me. She wasn't at a bar. She wasn't with friends. She was at a cheap motel on the edge of town. I parked across the street and waited. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I saw her pull up, step out of her car in a dress I had bought her, and walk straight into room 214. Not a moment's hesitation. That's when I lost it. I didn't knock. I didn't wait. I kicked that door open like I was the police. And there they were. Sarah, half-dressed, straddling that piece of garbage, Kevin, who looked like he hadn't shaved in a month. Her eyes went wide. His face turned pale. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Say hi to the camera, babe," she screamed. Kevin scrambled to cover himself. I didn't care. I filmed it all. Her betrayal. The look of guilt. The filthy hotel room that stank of betrayal and cheap perfume. "You're insane," she shouted, grabbing a sheet to cover herself. I laughed. I laughed right in her face. "Me? I'm insane? You're the one screwing your ex in a motel like a teenager." She started crying. Kevin just sat there like a scared little boy. I turned to him. "You think this is funny, man? You think I won't beat your ass right now?" He flinched, didn't say a word. I turned back to Sarah. Hope it was worth it. And then I walked out. But the real insanity? That came after. I left that motel with a strange feeling. Not heartbreak, not sadness, just pure, controlled fury. It wasn't even the fact that she cheated. It was the way she did it. So casual, so filthy, like I was some idiot waiting at home while she relived her high school fantasies in a motel that probably charged by the hour. I drove home. My hands were steady, my breath slow. No rage outbursts, no breakdowns. I wasn't about to cry over a woman who just threw our marriage in the trash like it was nothing. But I wasn't done. I sat on the couch, opened my phone, and sent the video to her family and mine. No caption, no explanation, just cold, hard reality. I wanted them to see her for what she was. No more pretending. No more, "Sarah is such a good wife," or "You two are perfect together." She had made her choice. Now everyone would know it. It didn't take long. My phone blew up. Her sister called me first, screaming. Her mom sent texts, all in caps, asking what was going on. My own brother just wrote, "Oh my dude." And then came Sarah. She stormed into the house less than an hour later, still in that damn dress, makeup smeared, hair a mess, looking like a woman who had been caught in her own worst nightmare. Her face was red. Tears. Rage. Panic. "What is wrong with you?" she shrieked. I didn't even look at her. I was pouring myself a drink, cool as ice. "Close the door, Sarah. You're making a scene." Her hands were shaking. "You sent that video to my family?" I took a slow sip. "Yep." She let out this half-laugh, half-sob. "Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've done?" Now that got my attention. I turned to her, eyebrows raised. "What I've done?" I chuckled. "Sarah, sweetheart, I just filmed what you did. If you don't like the way it looks, maybe you shouldn't have done it." She clenched her fists. "You ruined my life." "Oh, don't be dramatic." I waved a hand. "You did that all on your own." She lunged at me, fists swinging. Not even kidding. Like some unhinged lunatic. I grabbed her wrists, held her still like she was a child throwing a tantrum. "Don't," I warned. My voice was quiet, but she froze. That's when her expression changed. She stopped fighting. Her body went limp. Then she just collapsed into sobs, sinking onto the floor like her knees gave out. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered. I was lonely. You made me feel alone." I almost laughed in her face. "Oh, so now it's my fault?" I said. "Go ahead, Sarah. Tell me how I made you take your clothes off in a motel room for your ex." She snapped her head up, eyes wild. "You did. You're so cold. You work too much. You don't make me feel special anymore." I stared at her. "So what? Instead of talking to me, you let Kevin the failure plow you in a Motel 6? Her lips trembled. She had nothing to say. I sighed, leaned down and grabbed my phone. "You want to keep making excuses? Or do you want to talk about what happens next?" Her face went pale. Because she knew. The divorce ultimatum. I wasn't going to do the whole working through it thing. The second I saw her in that motel, she was dead to me. "I want a divorce," I said flatly. She gasped like I had slapped her. "No, wait please, we can." "No." I cut her off. "We're done. I want you out of this house. You can go live with your little boyfriend." "I can't," she blurted out. "He doesn't." She stopped herself, eyes wide, like she had said too much. I smirked. "He doesn't what, Sarah? He doesn't want you?" Her silence was my answer. Kevin wasn't some great love. He was just a fantasy, an escape. And now that the fantasy had been exposed, she was realizing she had nothing left. I shook my head. "That's not my problem." She crawled toward me, literally on her knees, grabbing my leg. "Please, please don't do this," she sobbed. "I love you. I don't want to lose you." I stepped back like she was filth. "You lost me the second you spread your legs for another man." That shut her up. She just sat there, crying, realizing it was over. Then, the final nail in the coffin. My final move. I pulled out my phone again. "By the way, your boss saw the video?" Her head snapped up. "What?" I shrugged. "Your sister told him. Guess she figured he should know what kind of person he employs." Now, let me be clear. I didn't send it to him. But I knew her sister hated her guts and would absolutely tell her boss just to watch her life burn. And oh, did it burn. Sarah let out a horrified sob, her entire body shaking. "No, no, no, no." I gave her a cold smile. "Good luck with that. Now get out of my house." I walked upstairs, grabbed a suitcase, and threw it at her feet. "You've got 1 hour." She just sat there, staring at the suitcase like her whole world had ended. And you know what? It had. Because she didn't just cheat on me. She cheated herself out of everything. You ever back an animal into a corner? At first, they cower, whimper, show weakness. But if you push too far, they come out swinging. That's what happened next. After I threw the suitcase at her feet and told her she had 1 hour to get out, I expected more tears, more begging. But something in her face shifted, like a switch flipped in her brain. The sobbing stopped. The trembling stopped. Instead, she laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a guilty laugh. A cold, empty, dead laugh. "You think you can just throw me out?" she said, wiping her face. "Like I'm the one who ruined this marriage?" I stared at her. "Are you serious right now?" She stood up, tossing her hair back, eyes full of rage and something else, something unhinged. "You really think this is all my fault?" she said, stepping closer. "You think you're some perfect husband?" I kept my cool. I wasn't gonna argue with a crazy woman who just got caught cheating. "You need to leave," I repeated. "Now." Her lips curled into a sneer. "And if I don't?" I smirked. "Then the cops can help you pack." That's when she lost it. She grabbed the suitcase and threw it across the room, screaming like a banshee. Clothes went flying. "You ruined me," she shrieked. "You ruined my life." Then she went for the real psycho move. She grabbed my laptop and hurled it at the wall. Crack. The screen shattered instantly. I took a deep breath. "You're making this worse for yourself, Sarah." "Oh, screw you," she screamed. "You think you're gonna throw me away like some used-up trash? Like I meant nothing to you?" I clenched my jaw. "You made yourself nothing to me the second you spread your legs for Kevin." That one hit. She screamed, grabbed a lamp, and threw it at me. I ducked. The lamp exploded against the wall behind me. At this point, I wasn't even mad anymore. I was just standing there, watching my soon-to-be ex-wife have a full mental breakdown. And then, the real horror show started. The police show up, for me. I had just about had enough when she stormed out of the house. Good, I thought. She's finally leaving. Nope. 15 minutes later, red and blue lights flooded my driveway. 2 cops. They knocked on my door. "Sir, we received a domestic disturbance call. Your wife says you attacked her." I laughed out loud. "You gotta be kidding me," I said. Sarah was standing behind them, fake crying like she deserved an Oscar. He threw me out," she sobbed. "He hit me and told me I had nowhere to go." I could have snapped right then and there, but I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my phone. "You want to see what really happened, officers?" I said, "because I've got plenty of video proof." Sarah's face drained of color. The cops looked at each other. "Let's see it." I opened my camera roll and played the footage I had from the motel. Then, I showed them the security cam footage from my own house, where she was the one throwing things and destroying my laptop. The officers took one look at her and said, "Ma'am, we need to talk outside." They pulled her aside. She tried to argue, but her voice kept getting higher and higher until she was full-on screeching. And then, one of the cops turned to me and said, "Do you want to press charges for property damage?" I looked at Sarah, red-faced, shaking, realizing she just played herself into a corner. I smirked. "No, I just want her gone." The cops turned to her. "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises." That was it. That was the moment she knew. She had lost. No saving the marriage. No getting sympathy. Just gone. She shot me one last look. Pure hatred, pure venom. Then she walked out. And just like that, my house was mine again. Or so I thought. The final insanity. You'd think this was the end, right? That she'd just disappear, go cry to Kevin, and let me move on? Oh no. Sarah wasn't done ruining her life yet. A few days later, I got a call from her boss. "Hey man, I don't know what the hell is going on, but Sarah just quit. Then she tried to tell me you were some kind of abusive psycho." I sighed. "Yeah, she's losing her mind. Sorry about that." He laughed. "Don't be sorry. I already knew she was crazy." Turns out, Sarah's own co-workers hated her. After the video leaked, they all started talking, and the truth came out. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a backstabbing, manipulative, gossiping mess who had burned bridges with everyone. She had no friends, no support, no job. And guess what else? Kevin dumped her too. Yep. The man she threw our marriage away for? Gone. Her sister told me. Apparently, the moment he realized she had nothing left, he ghosted her. Blocked her on everything. So now, she was living in her parents' basement, unemployed, friendless, and drowning in regret. Me? I moved on. Filed for divorce the next week. Hired a good lawyer. Made sure she got nothing. And let me tell you, watching her destroy her own life was the most satisfying revenge I never had to lift a finger for. You ever think you've seen the worst of someone, only for them to prove you wrong? That was Sarah. She had lost everything. Her job? Gone. Her reputation? Destroyed. Her affair partner? Ghosted her. She was living in her parents' basement, drowning in the wreckage of her own stupidity. Any normal person would have taken the L, accepted the consequences, and moved on. But not Sarah. No, she had one last desperate move left. And it was the most insane thing yet. The stalker phase. A few weeks after I filed for divorce, I started noticing weird things. I'd leave my house in the morning, and my garbage cans would be knocked over. My car would have fingerprints on the windows, like someone was peering inside. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. to my phone buzzing nonstop. Sarah, 20 missed calls. I sighed, rolled over, and ignored it. Then came the texts. Please, just talk to me. I miss you. We can fix this. Why are you doing this to me? Why do you hate me? I ignored them all. Then, the next message, you'll regret this. I sat up. I had seen that before. The kind of message that goes from begging to threatening in the span of seconds. The kind that makes you wonder if someone is about to go full Fatal Attraction. The next morning, I checked my security camera footage. And there she was, standing outside my house at 3 a.m. Just standing there. I sat back, exhaling slowly. Jesus Christ, she's lost it. The breaking point. I should have called the cops right then. Should have filed for a restraining order. But I made a mistake. I assumed she'd get tired and give up. Wrong. A week later, I came home late from work. Walked inside, tossed my keys on the counter, went to the kitchen. Something felt off. The air felt wrong. I turned around, and there she was, sitting on my couch, in my house. She looked awful, eyes sunken, hair a mess, wearing one of my old hoodies like some deranged ex who couldn't let go. I froze. How the FK did you get in here? She smiled. I still have a key, she whispered. I saw red. I marched over to her, voice like ice. You need to leave. Right now. She stood up, got in my face. No, you don't get to just throw me away like garbage. I grabbed my phone. I'm calling the cops. That's when she dropped the act. Her eyes went wild, lips curling. You think I care? You think I have anything left to lose? She stepped closer, voice low. I could ruin you. I laughed in her face. You already tried. And look where that got you. Her hands were shaking. I could tell. She was spiraling. Then she whispered, if I can't have you, no one can. Chills ran down my spine. I wasn't scared. I was pissed. You need to get out, I growled. She stared at me, silent. Then, she did something so insane, so deranged, I almost couldn't believe it. She pulled out a knife. A kitchen knife from my own house. I didn't move. She held it up, tears in her eyes, hand shaking. You don't love me anymore, she whimpered. You never loved me. I took a slow step forward. Put it down, Sarah. She let out a hysterical laugh. What, are you scared? I smirked. Of you? No. I just don't want to have to explain to the cops why my ex-wife stabbed herself in my house. Her face twisted. Because she knew I was right. She wanted me to beg, to panic, to care. But I didn't. I just stared at her. Cold. Unmoved. Done. And that's when the fight left her. She dropped the knife. Dropped to her knees. And she sobbed. I don't know what to do, she choked out. I have nothing left. I crossed my arms. That's not my problem anymore. She looked up at me, broken. Please, just don't hate me. I exhaled. Sarah, I don't hate you. Her eyes lit up with hope. And then I said the words that finally killed the fantasy in her head. I feel nothing for you. That broke her more than any insult ever could. She nodded slowly, wiped her face, and walked out. I changed the locks that night, and that was the last time I ever saw her. The aftermath. She never tried to contact me again. She vanished. Her family? They didn't even blame me. They knew she had imploded her own life. A month later, the divorce was finalized. I got everything, the house, my money, my peace of mind. Sarah? Last I heard, she moved to another city. Rumors say she tried to get Kevin back, but he shut her down. Poetic justice, huh? As for me, I thrived, got back into shape, started dating again, took a long vacation, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Sarah thought she could ruin me. In the end, she only ruined herself. Final words. Betrayal? It's a funny thing. It doesn't just destroy relationships, it reveals people. And what I learned, some people will set fire to their own lives just to keep their hands warm. I'm just glad I wasn't burned with her.